in the morning. You got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, let's kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom bada boom ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right, baby let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all the other stuff. What you hear is you strong and you independent, you can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
In my palm, my girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand, I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light, know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave, girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas, no I won't be long. We came up from the weeds, now it's top floor. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. All mine, all mine. That's me. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit 100K. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good full plates, eating good say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. All mine, all mine. That's me. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. Big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
hit that like button. Go ahead, do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy.
We're about to start. We're gonna start this conversation. We're gonna talk about ask ourselves the question: are black men understood? And what do you guys get from the conversation with Chantelle, Simone, and Obi Allen? Some will argue. Some said that Mr. Allen Obi or Obi Allen was fair. Whatever his name is, I get it wrong. But then 40% said that, 60% said he was not fair, and 40% said he was fair. So I want to hear from you guys, man, and what's your take on what could be seen as the denigration of black men, and anytime we speak, we're either shamed into silence. So I got a couple of guys on the line. I got my man, Mr. Allen, and also I got my man, who's that, Counselor MG? Is that Counselor G? Yeah, Counselor G, go ahead, brother. Unmute yourself, you and Brother Allen. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I can hear you, brother. Mm-hmm.
That whole conversation came off a little weird.
Right, talk about it, man. Talk about it.
It was very passive aggressive.
Yes, very passive aggressive. I
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are better than others. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just flat out. If I made certain decisions in my life to prepare myself for it financially, and you haven't, then I think I made a better choice.
Right.
So it just struck me as kind of off. It was a lot of feminine vibes that came through.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the end, the shot that he took when he said my channel's bigger than yours, it's like you're competing with a woman. So.
Right. I totally agree, man. And yeah. I mean, I respect the young man, but he was condescending, because one damn thing you're not going to do is tell me to wait on my channel. I wish a man or woman would tell me to wait, or I'm still talking. You can get this work, or you can get your ass off. You don't come on my channel telling me wait, or I'm not finished talking. Your ass gonna wait when you're on my platform. You're gonna wait and shut your mouth, or check your ass off. But you don't ever come on my platform telling me to wait. That's disrespectful as hell, man. That was very disrespectful in my opinion. I respect the dude to some degree. He did very well in the beginning, but on the end, it got awkward, it got weird, and like you were saying, it was passive aggressive, condescending, and all this shit about who needs to tell who about what. Like you are the final voice of reason for all black people. Like black people are static, and so that was the part I got from it. Hold tight, my man PK Angel. Y'all see him in the house. But yeah, So go ahead, Brother Allen. Go ahead, man. What else did you think? PK, I need a favor, brother. PK, I'm gonna drop you down. I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna drop you down, PK. I'm gonna add you. I need to see your face in the back. I don't know you. I heard of you. I just need to see your face, and then you can mute your you can cam up. Not you don't have to cam up, PK. I just need to see your face for a minute, then I can bring you on. But go ahead, Brother Allen. Go ahead, real quick. Mm-hmm.
It came off strange, very strange.
It did.
Like, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm out here actually do stuff, and I deal with people. And if you were to slide that kind of level of disrespect in, you might get your chin checked.
No doubt.
So,
right.
It was, yuck, kind of vibes, but from the whole thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hold tight, brother PK. I know he want to come on. He said I don't have a cam, brother. Okay, that's fine. You don't have a cam. All right. But yeah, what did you think about it, Counselor MG, the whole conversation? What did you think about it? And what parts that you feel was genuine, and what parts that you feel was out of pocket?
Okay, yeah. First of all, just salute to the brothers on the panel and to the chat. Here's my thing, and I think somebody brought this out in the chat, and they were saying that it's very interesting that we have two people who are basically immigrants to America. And I'm not one of these guys who's going to say that, black people from other places can't speak on, our issues, because, I think they should. But here's my thing with the gentleman, and I wasn't familiar with him prior to this, so I can be completely unbiased. I think given the fact of both of their backgrounds, I think Chantelle would be the one that's more genuine with regard to her parents or whoever it was. I don't know what generation she is, but they decided to leave what they deemed was not so great circumstances to come to a place where they felt they have a better shot, right? Mm-hmm. And in this guy's case, he's from Nigeria. He decided to leave there. I don't know if it was his parents or if he's first generation, but they decided to leave to come for better, greener pastures, right? So what gives him the right to have an issue with Black men in America who decide to do the same thing?
Right.
So on the face of it, it's very disingenuous. So just from the standpoint of their relative positions, I think Chantel's is more genuine because she's telling Black men, yeah, go where you're appreciated. Go where you are happy. Because that's essentially what she did, her and her family. But this guy who did the same thing, it's kind of like, it's good for me, but not for thee. You guys need to stay there in a bad situation. Meanwhile, I'm an immigrant from what I felt was a bad situation to a better one. So just on that alone, and we can get into the nuances of what the conversation was, but just off top, I think that that's an issue. And it's very disingenuous for him to have some type of issue with Black men who decide to leave for all the myriad of reasons that we can go over to go and find a better life for themselves. It's just very interesting that he takes that position when he himself is a product of someone leaving for greener pastures.
Yeah. I that's an excellent point. That's an excellent way to look at it. Almost like I want to better myself, so I want to explore the market. So it's like he explored the financial market, but men are exploring the market as relates to women and femininity. Shout out to my man, RD Ruling Mentality. He said he was very condescending. I appreciate it, brother. And then also RD Ruling Mentality again. He said, I felt like Courtney sent him how he was talking. I don't know. But Brother Tim, how you doing? So what's going on, man? What did you get from this whole conversation, man? Do you feel like the image, are Black men really that misunderstood in your opinion? I want you to add clarity to it.
Yeah, I think we've always been misunderstood historically, even up to present, Black men as a whole. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talked about that in her book and even in some of her thesis work about how white supremacist system seeks to destroy the Black male image and to go as far as the Black male himself. So we've always been, that's why I'm so proud of you, the work you do, Dr. Neal, so forth, and so on, and uplifting us, giving us a voice. Until now, I mean, like in the last 36 months, we've never really had a voice commercially.
Right. I totally agree. Right.
Yeah, we've never had a voice. We complain. Back when Sally Raphael and Donahue were all bashing us, we didn't have a voice in that. And that's in my generation. I remember coming home from class during college, turning that on, and I'm like, you're like, what in the world? We're not all in prison. You and I were in college around about the same time.
Right,
I'm not
right. We were right. I was none of what people tried to encapsulate. I didn't get no women pregnant. I didn't have kids out of wedlock. I got 3 degrees. I grew up in a 2-parent home, intact. Exactly. I grew up in church. So I mean, it's overgeneralization. That's what it is, Brother Tim Harden. They take a percentage of degenerate Black men, the ones we call Raekwon the Man, and the ones that they love in their 20s that they get used up and ran through. That does this whole time.
Yeah, put chain on them. Balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like that's on my monkey. That's on my monkey. That's on my monkey.
Yeah, they like the ones that say, "Oh, my mama," when they're in their 20s. The ones that shoot the club up and shoot up the neighborhood. Wow. But then once they get used and ran through, they want to come back to you and expect you to be a good man and save the community. And I think it's an insult, man. It's an insult. It's very offensive in my opinion, because you seem like you're a very astute man. You seem like you're very intelligent. I can tell you went to college. And it's almost like it's a category of men. Educated men that they deem to be lame or socially awkward. Blue-collar men that don't make enough money. Or the average guy that's not good enough. So you got to be in an elite. You got to be a thug and a bad boy at the same time. You know, you got to be a thug and a bad boy, and then when you encapsulate all those three, then you're fine. But if you don't meet none of those criteria, then it's an issue. Give me 1 minute, Tim. Shout out to Top Gun. He said Harriet Tubman would have not stood a chance in the modern era. These niggas they catch one. Shout out to Top Gun, man. Top Gun. But go ahead, Tim. What else would you like to add to the conversation, man? Top Gun wild, man.
You know, I can be a little long-winded, but I'm gonna make this short.
Take your time, man. Take your time.
There was, I want to reiterate what you said. Shout out to Mr. Allen. That it was very weird, and if you've kind of followed their this whole conversation, I guess more for lack of a better term, between Courtney, Allen, and how this whole dust up came about.
Dust up,
right, how it all came about. As far as Courtney and let me say it this way, as far as Courtney and Allen is concerned, all the time we were doing the show, what I thought of was thinking of you can't be a part of the problem and solve it too. And what I mean by that, only one person actually put this in the chat also, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Kosher. Mm-hmm. Both Courtney and Allen are single parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I know Courtney was. I didn't know Allen was. I thought he was a married man.
No. He's unless there's something else. Unless there's somebody he has said that his daughter's mother. We know what that indicates in modern times. That means you ain't married to the mama usually.
Right. It's almost like an oxymoron because
it's oxymoron. So what? Right. And the reason why I'm coming at it, I'm bringing that angle to it, because the whole, as Alan said, this is kind of weird because he generally, and both of them came off as approaching this whole issue intellectually, sort of balanced, and then these two conversations just went off the rails. And I'm like, wow, what was that all about? So that came to mind. I said, well, he and she both probably they adamantly want to save the community because I'm part of I've added to the problem. And I'm going to tell you why I added her into it, because if the clip you played at the beginning of the show, your show earlier, when she interviewed Sister Shahrazad, mm-hmm. You'll notice what she said about midway toward the end. She said, right, I want a husband. I want my daughter to have, okay. So it's really your self-interest involved in this.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, that's because when they bring it to the broader conversation, it becomes very conflicted. Okay, yeah, y'all can save yourself, but somebody need to help us fix the community, And you and I have lived long enough to look, man, it ain't fixing this.
It's no fixing it, right? And Shahrazad Ali said, Courtney admitted that it's going to take years, but it's double talk to some degree. Even Obi said he admitted it, but listen, if you know anything about systems theories, man, it takes time. And exactly. The great teacher Jesus said, you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskins. Right. You can't do it. He said, the book of Proverbs said, unless God build a house, the worker builders in vain. And so it's just too many layers to this dysfunction. It's going to take years. And so in the meantime, I think what Chantelle was trying to say is that, okay, we got 10 women that are noble and you got 100 men that need wives. Why in the hell are we waiting and trying, or hoping that we can preserve another 90 for those said 90 that are waiting versus those men that can be proactive and go get wives that are wife ready and know how to treat and honor a man. The average man in a foreign country is a 5-star recruit. The average man in America is a nobody.
Exactly.
So you got to be like, I'm 6'5", 6'6". If I was in another country, I would be a 5-star recruit. I could be a 5-star recruit here if I chose to be. If I was a single man, with my metrics and my education and all. But the average guy, it's a hard-working guy, blue collar. It's not enough, and it's offensive, Tim, because my dad worked with a blue collar. He worked in the paper mill. But this is what my dad got. My dad got a virgin. He didn't get a woman that was ran through. He didn't get a woman that had kids by other men. And my mom was mostly wife ready. But these chicks now been ran through. They got kids by multiple men, or one or whatever. They've been severely used. But you want a damn man to pay all the bills. I mean, it's weird. And and the research says that millennials and zennials and also Gen Z are some of the most entitled, narcissistic of any generation, especially this current one. I think they call it Gen Z. And they want something from nothing, and it's an insult because you and I remember where you had to earn something in order to get something in return. And and like I said, I'm not part of the problem. I didn't have kids out of wedlock. While a lot of folks were smoking weed in high school, I played high school ball, had a chance to play college ball. I was doing the right thing. But you mean to tell me I'm supposed to come back, whereas a teacher, Tim, we don't celebrate boys. We don't celebrate black men at all. Our women constantly challenge our authority. As a therapist, I know men in practice. I know one brother around my age, and I feel sorry for him, but then I don't feel sorry. He ain't had sex in about 9 years. Another one, he had went almost 2 years before he had sex.
Wow.
But you said, save the community, black man, come back and help us. But this damn last election, you won't talk about saving the community in this damn last election. You were talking about chucks and pearls. You were talking about power. You weren't talking about a black collective when you bring black men, black children, black women together. So when it comes down to our women, many of them, not all, but a large majority of them, when it comes down to power, it's about individualism. But when it comes down to servitude, then, Negroes, y'all fall in line, just do what we say. And like the old folks used to say, the devil is a lie. Not a liar, but a lie. That's what the old folks used to say. The devil is a lie. My mission as a therapist is to empower men, to embolden them to become the best versions of themselves. If they want to stay single and wait until they find their wives, then do it. But you shouldn't damn get no bad deal. Tim, you remember when you and I were in high school, chicks that had kids out of wedlock, we didn't even look at them. Shame. It was shameful. We didn't look at them. Am I right or wrong?
That was a shame, man.
It was shameful. It was very shameful.
And you and I both of us grew up in church.
Right.
There was a day probably that was before us, that preceded us. They would make a joker come down to the altar and confess.
Yes, right.
So the rules were very strict then. But by the time they got around, because I think you graduated in '90, I graduated 85.
Yeah. 89, Post came out 89, came out 90, but Post came out 89. We like 4 years
apart. I came out of college in 91.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and Kevin Samuels talked about this. He went to OU. I was here in Dallas, so we ran in some of the same circles, and he talked a lot about the AKAs, the Deltas, and the college girls already back then. That's what 40, almost 40 years ago.
Right.
That they needed a dude, the 666 was already in effect back then. And I'm 5'11". How can
They want a beast.
Yeah, I'm a little taller than average, and that ain't good enough. So, I've been to school, been to college, got an advanced degree out, and my 20s, my 30s. Now the Lord blessed you. You went on and got married, and and God bless you and your family. But the most of us, if you didn't get, if you haven't have gotten married, your pool was limited because the girls already had a kid.
Right.
Then the pool is even a little more tainted.
Right.
Because of you don't know how many bodies. We need a peaceful life in it. That kills me when he talks about vigorously pounding out, and I didn't really think about that on up the road. Man, that has a profound emotional effect on a girl.
I agree.
And so you dealing with all of that, and then you get to this age, and you're like, man, no, I'm not putting any more. I'm not putting any more energy. I'm not saving it. Matter of fact, I'm trying to save myself. That is the reason why we say save ourselves. Like, man, save yourself from. In my view, now somebody else might see it differently, but
I agree with you. Even the gospel says, "Save yourself from this untoward generation."
Untoward generation, exactly.
That's what the gospel says. So it's incumbent on you to save yourself. I'm not against helping. Like I work as a therapist. I work with some young kids, and I've been doing civic work in my profession. I taught school for 5 years. I worked with juvenile delinquents for 7, and I worked in the prison for 2. But man, look, I'm tired of fighting, man. It's time for me.
Yeah, likewise. I worked when I got out of college. My home church sponsored a drug rehab program for young men who were on drugs, and we had computer classes for them, and a variety of stuff, to help them get back on their feet, acclimated. So I've done my work,
Right.
Over the years, and I tell you what, I think it was 2018, and this is a promise to the Lord. The last date I went on, last quote unquote formal date, and I remember getting home and said, that's it. I'm not. I can't do this.
I want you to hold it, Tim, and then I want you to talk about. I want to get some other guys in, but hold tight, Tim.
Go ahead.
Shout out to my man Ardu ruling mentality. He said this dude think he's going to really change something with just a conversation. Shaking my head, no doubt. Well, he said that he realized it's going to take time. To be fair, he did say he understands it's not going to be overnight. But yeah, it's crazy. Shout out to my man, Barrow Hammer TV. He said productive men should not sacrifice his happiness and peace of mind to save an eroding community. They have rejected him in the first place. I totally agree with you 1,000%, Barrow Hammer TV. Thank you, brother. And then also shout out to Barrow Hammer TV again. He said, you can't fix a broken TV. You just throw it out and replace it with a new one. Yes, sir. Upgrade TV. The community is like a TV with fuzzy images of an ideal world. I love that. Good job, Barrow Hammer. I appreciate it, brother. Top Gun said that instead of being a man and attempting to unite these sisters for the cause, he picked side with one and attacked the other like a true. You wild, man. PK Angel. Now I'm going to go back to MC Recovery and then back to Brother Allen. But PK Angel, how would you like to answer this conversation, brother? Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, man?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm out of the manosphere, out of the black manosphere specifically.
Okay.
And a lot of this conversation, Obi's late to the party on, man. He's been watching from the periphery, I would say, for maybe, I don't know, give or take a couple of years since Kevin Samuels came on the scene. And Kevin Samuels was a product of the black manosphere specifically.
Mm-hmm.
These are conversations that were shared amongst me, Edward Anderson, BGS Immore, and a host of other people.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and SYSBM is a product of that.
Yes, sir.
These conversations were had and were disagreed upon for the better part of around 2 years. And we had discussions about this nightly on 11, 12-hour hangouts. This is back when Google Hangouts was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of this philosophy that men such as yourselves have adopted now originally came from all of us. These guys, I would say, he's a little bit late to the party on this discussion. He's not familiar with the tenets of SYSBM in the sense of where these discussions arrived from, and he wants to, I guess, have these back and forth with Chantelle. And unfortunately, Chantelle is not the originator of any of this. You know, he originally had these conversations with BGS, who was the right person to talk to. However, he's more intent on his particular mission or goal, which is what BGS, has talked about recently. I don't know if you are familiar with who he is.
Yeah. BGS was on my show last week. I actually used the clip in the earlier part of the stream on the other show. Yeah, I know BGS, excellent brother, respect him. He's been on my channel a couple of times. I love him and Angry Man and a lot of other brothers, man. They both got good points of view. But yeah, I know BGS. He's been on my show several times. He's a supporter of the stream. And he actually talked about Obi. He said he would love to have a conversation with him. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. However, yeah, I think that in this case, when it comes to Obi, now this is my own independent view. He's more interested in it. Oftentimes seems to be the case that men who have created much of the dysfunction are the most adamant about preserving or potentially fixing any situations within the community. These things were debated specifically in the past, almost 8 years ago now. We disagreed about it then. We all are on the same page now. However, Obi Allen is basically rehashing an old point. We've already come to a conclusion on this. We are in staunch disagreement. The Black Manosphere specifically is in staunch disagreement with that viewpoint.
Yes, sir.
Because of the fact that you are not only asking men who have been essentially discarded from the community in some sense, and aren't being rewarded in a reciprocal manner by the community. You're asking essentially for men to sacrifice themselves with no particular benefit. Why would men do that?
Right.
So so far that's my only take. I think I don't know. I'm not really as familiar with Shay Sade. I do know that there are Black Manosphere people that go over there and watch her content, but I'm a MGTOW specifically, so I don't really engage with women. I
respect your position, and that's what makes these spaces so unique. You have some of the black pills, some are red, some are MGTOW, some are IPMOR, some are whatever. I'm just a licensed therapist that more or less try to look at the different nuances of all, and I'm still learning all the intricacies of it. I got a basic ideal of it, but as a therapist, I do this, man, because I want to see men win. I want to see young men win. I want to see all men win, white and black. But specifically these young men, the 33% of men that are virgins. Can you imagine? We live in a world now where the men are virgins and the women are getting it in. I mean, but think about that. The men are virgins, but the women are not virgins. I mean, think about it, man. It's crazy. What's your take on that, PK?
I mean, it's a consequence of the degradation of this society over time. Much of this has come from feminism and a lot of the institutions and changes that have come throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. This came through policy. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It took time. Now, this is just my own personal worldview and belief. I think that women ultimately are subject to the environment in ways that men are not. So what that means is that given the conditions, if they are ripe for women to benefit from them in a negative way, they will take advantage of those. So, right. For instance, when it comes to things like child support, alimony, anything in that vein, if the option is available, they will take advantage of it. Not all, but the majority. That's just how they are wired. I think that they are fundamentally different from men in that aspect. So I think that is the case, that you have men, specifically millennials and younger, where you see this phenomenon taking place. For instance, when you said 33% of men, or around 30% of men, are effectively virgins, or what do you call them? Involuntarily celibate, right? That's a thing. That is a problem. I think that women are going to the same select groups of men and seeking them out, and it's going to continue to exacerbate unless there's a significant shift in not only the culture, but also in the law.
No, I totally agree, man. And until we look at all those different elements that cause us to be in this cesspool, it's just foolhardy, to say the least. RD ruling mentality say he wants to be a Kevin Samuels. He said he checked out his work, no doubt. I appreciate RD ruling. MC with Kevin Williams, brother. How would you like to answer the conversation, man? What's your take on this whole conversation with Courtney? No, I'm with Chantelle, Simone, and Obi Allen. I'm sorry.
Oh man, it's just like on the lead show. I almost had a headache because it was a repeat of the FIFA effect, and both both of those effects seem like he was interviewing Chantelle for like a job or something. Or it's like he was. It's like this is getting crazy.
Right,
So you know, true. It was. Hey, he just almost gave me a. He was just talking in too many circles. But I did ran over there to his page, and I see they both in the 40,000 subscriber thing.
Right, right.
So you know, I think, I think, hey, if you really look at it, it's like he was being like having that feminine type of effect, like he's competing against it.
Yeah. It was weird, man.
Like get on my page, do my talking points.
Right. Yeah, it's weird, man. Do you think MC Recovering Wellness that by and large that folks understand the struggles of Black men in America, or do you think it's minimized, to say the least?
Oh, it's minimized, believe me, because I stay in Los Angeles. My son godmother is upset with me. Some of these women want me to vote the way we always vote. So that's how bad it is out here. And if you say you're voting for the other party, then you get to see the real vitriol in them. Like, why you going that way? That's a white man. Because I have receipts and of 30 years receipts to see every time we vote this way, it's 80%, 90%. 70%. And when you look at the other races with the same receipts, it's like 45, 55. It's a balance. So it's like, hey, it's time to shake up the water and vote the other way. Because I said the reason why a lot of men out here wants to vote the other way, because we're not getting our women attention.
Right. No, well, listen. If I was a single man in the game, I would be checked out too. It's no benefit. I've seen, what goes on, and then always when it comes down to election time, we got the same old goofy talking points. Brother Allen, what was your initial impression of the conversation with Chantelle and Obi, and what things did you see from this young man that resonated, some of the things that you hate about how Black men are treated in America?
Well, he made some valid points.
He did. He made some valid points, right.
I don't know very much about him, but I could definitely tell that I'm trying to think of the proper word for it. He seemed like he was in his feelings a little bit.
Yeah. It's like it was calculated. It started off like, but it's like a switch came on, and that's when the attack started, and it was sort of weird. Hold tight, Alan. I want to finish hearing your point. Hold tight. Shout out to RD Ruling Mentality. He said, I'm just waiting on him and BGS to talk one-on-one, no doubt. And then shout out to my man, the Young Lion Kosher, no explanation.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a
Sir
deal,
Hill spits
right?
because of your love offering,
That's a
brother.
bet, right? That's a deal,
and I really
right?
appreciate
That's a deal, right?
it. Sir Hill, you are the #1 sponsor, Sir Hill, of the stream. Thank you, sir. I want to ask you a question, Brother Allen. Some say they don't think women should be in men's spaces. Do you think women can come in and advocate alongside with men as long as they respect their ordinance? What's your take on that?
I think they should, because I'm not gonna lie, my wife. I turned her on to the red pill, and she gained a whole nother understanding of how to operate with me.
Right.
So the information is needed. It's not just solely ours to hold on to. And is useful.
Right.
But my wife operates in the male space with a limit.
Right, with the limit. Right, with the limit. I totally agree. Right, with the limit. Right.
One thing I noticed about he has my last name. Wow, Allen. One thing I noticed about Allen is he tried to put the full weight of his whole argument back on black men, but I made a comment like, you don't think all of black men that came before you, we didn't, MLK, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, they didn't try. Like,
right.
You can't just bring up this same talking point and expect that it's gonna fly. Like, no, we've been doing this for the longest time.
Right.
Community is dead. Let it die.
It's dead. Yeah, it's dead. It has to go through what's called a burning, a cycle of evolution in order for it to come back up again. Even the Bible said that gold without fire can never become pure gold. It has to go through a purification process. Yeah. We became great through the struggle, but it took years for those generations to become good. But we've been in this cesspool for years. Hold tight real quick, Brother Allen. RD Mentality said not anymore. And so right now, RD Mentality, I really appreciate it.
Right. That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
RD Mentality. That's a and RD Mentality becomes a love offer.
Right? Got 5 on it.
Now you are the #1 sponsor of this stream. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Sir Hill, the link has been dropped, brother. If you want to come on, keep talking, Brother Allen. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Ultimately, I couldn't really grasp or understand what he was trying to what his ultimate point was. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, we all know what the community really looked like. Mm-hmm. For those of us that grew up in it. Mm-hmm. And it's like trying to beat a dead horse, trying to revive it.
Right.
Interesting enough, I remember I grew up in the 80s. When I went to prom, it was like the early 2000s. I went to pick my date up during my senior year, and there was a chick that I was dealing with or whatever on the way to go get her. Mm-hmm. We pulled up in a limo, but before we could even make it to her house, there were little girls outside. They saw a limo, they started twerking.
Wow.
That was like back in the early 2000s. So I already know, right. Nah. This, like, who? I remember looking out the window like, yo, who taught you that? Mm-hmm. You see what you think to be a representation of money, and you just start twerking automatically? Like,
Right.
Weird, man. But, community is over. It's over. Just let it go. It seems like Obi's trying to milk the last little bit of whatever he can out of it.
Right.
And sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, brother.
And when Chantelle pushed back on it, he got upset.
Right. He got upset. Right. And, I thought it was a conversation that was respectful. I thought it was going to be a conversation where, he was going to come in and be cogent. And it started off fine, but then it's like the alter ego kicked in, and the level of arrogance. That will never happen on my show. First of all, you damn tell me I'm not finished. No, you are damn finished if I tell you you're finished. You wait till I talk when you're on my panel, and I would do the same thing. I don't care who it is, man or woman. You don't come on my platform telling me I'm not finished or you talking down like, you be quiet. No, you will get this serious work. So I don't tolerate that kind of damn disrespect for nobody. I'm one of the kindest people in the world. But I just felt like it got sort of condescending on the end. I think Chantelle does a great work. I think her work is very meritorious for men. As I said earlier, I don't have any issues with Courtney. I met Courtney in person. She was a very kind young lady. I just think our worldviews are a little different, but she was very respectful, very jovial. I gave her a hug. She was cool. But I think she understands it ain't going to change in this lifetime. But at the same time, it's like a dichotomous thinking. One minute you say go to other parts of the world, but then on the other end you believe in black love, and black love should stay here in America. Black love is dead. You know, as I said earlier, this last election, they did not vote for black men; they voted for themselves. Sir Hill, how would you like to add to the conversation, brother? Go ahead.
First of all, I got to show some love to the one of the only coach here. I appreciate you loving your own, and salute to all the brothers who are here.
No doubt,
I appreciate
brother.
you guys.
Much love, man. Much love, brother.
Yeah, so I just want to first start off by saying Courtney is dope. Love her. I love her content. I'm rocking with Courtney. As a matter of fact, I got into a lot of this space because I started watching her growth.
Right.
But I also became friends with Chantelle Simone.
Yes, sir.
And each of them both have a work to do that's the goal is the same, but the method is just different. And the interview that I saw, I was disappointed. And the reason why is because to me, that was an opportunity to bridge gaps.
Right.
You know what I mean? For
Right.
different perspectives to find a way to align. And I think that there was some things that happened in the background that played within that interview that made the conversation become derailed. And so just as men, I think it's really important that if we are for the community, it's important for us to realize that the members of community are not going to all think, act, and behave the same way. And if leadership is not about making people be just like you, it's about cultivating different talents and knowing how to use each person as an instrument for a particular goal. And I think that opportunity was missed in the conversation because when you're talking to a woman who is feminine and who's respectful, and you come off as condescending and you admit and you say that you are, as a man, we don't talk to our women this way. You know what I mean?
Right,
and
right,
I think that in this conversation, and this is not me casting any aspersion or speaking down on any person individually.
Right, just keeping it real.
Yeah, but there's a way that men should talk to women if we want to win that respect. You know what I mean? And that's really what I saw. This is no down on him because I think he's doing a great work as well. But in the black community, this is the issue I see. We always picking sides. I'm gonna pick your side if I'm mad at this person. I'm gonna pick this side if I'm mad at you. And at some point, guys, it's like what's the goal here? If the goal for us is to develop families and communities, however we do that, let's focus on the common goal and all the little idiosyncrasies. Let's move that to the side. But it's like black people keep black people divided while we preach community at the same time. And I think we got to get over
That's an excellent
ourselves.
point. That's an excellent point. But also, you know, as I always said, blackness is not static. You know, it's not static. You know, we don't believe in the same thing. You know, I'm more traditional, old school. You know, I'm old school traditional. I couldn't even deal with the typical modern woman if I was a single man. They don't meet my standards, one, and the disrespect and the back and forth. They could never be on team me because it's too much of a headache. Give me 1 minute, sir, here real quick. Shout out to my man James Wingate for that $5 super stick. I appreciate it. $5 cash out, by the way. Appreciate it, James Wingate. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. And then also James Wingate sent me another $5 super stick as well. I appreciate it. Let's just get deep into the conversation, sir, here, and then I'm going to go back to Counselor MG, PK Angel, and Tim. The day that I found sort of weird in this whole conversation, Brother Sir Hill, was that, him posting that Chantelle was cold. And I thought that was sort of weird, by the way, because I don't, masculine men, in my opinion, just don't go back and forth and do stuff like that. That's sort of catty, in my opinion. What's your take on that?
I'm sorry. So what happened again?
So there was a posting that Chantelle showed that he said that she was cold and disingenuous, and Courtney was warm and engaging. What's your take on behaviors like that coming from men in your opinion? I mean, that's sort of catty, in my opinion.
I didn't see that, but again, we don't do this. Men, right. There's a certain way that we respond to things.
Right.
And if women want to go back and forth and do that, that's fine. But this is why leadership is hard. Because in leadership, where everybody else is arguing, you got to find a way to bring reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And the way that you destroy that is you pick a side and you fuel the flames.
Right.
Leaders, and this is not me saying he's not a leader but this is an opportunity for us to develop into stronger leaders. When there's an issue, we got to be quick to resolve it, not escalate it. And I think when those things kind of happen, it escalates those issues. Now, there's some other parts that I could add as well, because how all this got started, everybody could have done something differently.
That's the point.
But when the fire is here, either we're going to fan the flames or we're going to put it out, and we got to decide how we're going to do that.
No doubt. Shout out to my man, Brother Shocks. Brother Shocks been showing a lot of love, man. I've seen this brother all throughout YouTube. Brother Shocks, how would you like to add to the conversation? And what's your take on the image of black men, man, and them getting respect? Go ahead, brother. And thank you for your love offers and your kind donation. I appreciate it, brother.
Oh, it's no problem. You support, what you want, the change that you want to see happen. So, of course, there's been this narrative about black men in such an unhealthy way for years and years. And so, it's good to, support functional, healthy, and professional men. What I like to say, though, is speaking of modeling, if we're talking about unity and promoting togetherness and love, I thought that would have been a great opportunity for that individual that was up there on that panel to actually demonstrate that. And that was pretty much a missed opportunity on his end. I'm not going to lie, watching that broadcast was very disheartening and upsetting, to say the least, because, it felt as though he was bullying this lady and taking her kindness for weakness, and trying to look for a aha and a got you moment.
Right. He did. Right. Yeah, I said the same thing, Brother Shocks. 1 minute you say don't bully another person, but it's like it was passive aggressive. He was like, I'm trying to get the one up on you, and I'm gonna let you know what time it is. So it was just weird, man. I don't know the young man. I've seen some of his work. He does good work. I don't have any issues against the young man, but it was just weird to say the least.
Oh, yep.
So let me ask you a question. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, well, that was my take about that. But you had another question.
So you appear to be an educated young brother, man. You appear to be educated. What's been some of the struggles you've been through as a black man that's educated, as far as it come down to honor, respect, but also it's never enough?
I would say this: there's always this level of suspicion, being undermined, as though you don't have a voice in anything to do with anything black, especially if you're not on any sort of agenda. You're not allowed to, be an independent thinker, things of that sort. I mean, there's always this sort of suspicion of, black men in particular, specifically straight black men, not to, knock the LGBTQ community or whatnot. In fact, there's a study in 2014, and you all can look it up, where they did salary and job offers where there was white men, black men, gay white men, and gay black men. And surprisingly, with the study is the results were that the gay black men were paid the same as the straight white men. Mm-hmm. And the researcher, it was a Princeton researcher, you all can look it up, concluded that, there's this sort of mindset of the threatening, imposing African-American male being in these sorts of spaces.
Right.
And, it's not like we've had the opportunity to really, speak about our truths, our realities, or whatnot. So it's been definitely hard. It's been definitely difficult to navigate, but it's almost like would you say an invisible extra task that you have to where you have to dot your I's and cross your T's, mm-hmm. and kind of have to wonder whether or not anybody who you interact with that looks like you is somebody that actually has your best interest at stake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, man. We often wonder who has our best interest. I totally agree with that. Brother Counselor, what type of behaviors did you see from both parties in this conversation with Obi and Chantelle? What did you see, Brother Counselor?
Well, first, I want to point out an interesting dichotomy that I noticed. I don't know if anyone else picked up on this, but one of his talking points was with regard to this notion of Pan-Africanism, right? So he did speak on the fact. So I would have surmised that he is a Pan-Africanist, and I also heard Courtney mention this need for Black people to come together, to build families and so forth. Now, here's the interesting thing: if in fact they are champions of this notion of Pan-Africanism, then I kind of have an issue with the premise that those of us who have traveled or live abroad and so forth, that by default, that means that you are only interested in non-Black women. Personally, I prefer Black women. Okay, right. So even if I'm outside of America, I'm going to gravitate towards Black women. And this whole notion that somehow those of us who are passport centered or what have you, that it's this this default that, okay, you're interested in non-Black women. And of course, to be sure, that is the case for a lot of men that travel. But for those of us who don't fall in that category, I think it's pretty offensive to take this position that somehow you're against Black family and so forth, or you want to go to the other side, just simply because you don't want to be in America and deal with all the issues that you have to deal with in terms of that. So I just feel like it's a very interesting dichotomy that he's on the one hand talking about Pan-Africanism,
right? And
to my earlier point, he's an immigrant from another place, and he felt the need to come to a better, in his mind, a better place to live the life that he wanted to live, and we're just doing that in the inverse. And that doesn't negate this idea of having a Black family. And so to kind of juxtapose that the way they're doing, to say that, oh, well, because we're leaving, America, that somehow we're against that, I think that's very, disappointing, to say the least, that they would take that position. I also want to point out something that someone said in the chat, and I don't know how true this is. And I just want to preface it with that. I don't personally know Courtney. I don't have a problem with her. From what I've gathered, she does seem like a very genuine lady. Right. Some of you brothers have met her. I think you, Brother Clinician, and the brother in the red.
I met her in person.
Yeah, so you can attest to her in person. I don't know her.
Cool.
Like
real cool sister.
Right.
She won't disrespect, but she gave me a hug. She was real cool. I don't have any issues with her.
Yeah, so she seems, again, just from what I can gather from the, the videos that I've seen, I haven't saw a lot of her content, but I was thinking about doing a review of her spat with Chantelle on my channel. I was going to do an analysis on this, but here's my thing. Here's the point. I saw someone in the chat say that she has a child with a Brad. Now, I don't know how true that is, but if it is true, that changes and explains everything. And again, I don't want to be the rumor mill, and I stand to be corrected. I'm not saying this. This is what someone said in the chat. I'm not going to call them out because they said they didn't hear it from them. So I don't know.
That's not real. I don't think.
I don't know. If it's not true, then that's what someone said. I just want to put that out there because you do have a lot of women who will go outside and then all of a sudden they come back with this blackity black, and meanwhile they make these decisions. I'm not saying that's her, but we do have that.
Yeah, that's not her at all.
Okay, so the brother in the red, he would be more of an authority on that because I guess he knows her more. So if that is, then I retract if that's. Because I don't want to just speak something, even though I'm putting these qualifiers out here. I asked the guy in the chat, I said, well, where did you hear that? He said it was from her followers on her stream. That he was privy to a conversation that she had with some of her followers. So that's where he said he got it from. So I'm just saying. But anyway, that the larger point that I'm making is that we don't want to just by default say that guys who have decided to go outside of America, when there are more Black people outside of America than in America, that somehow by default we want to go outside the race. So that's one of the things I think we need to push back on. So
because if a person says they're Pan-Africanist, Pan means across. So if you're a Pan-Africanist, you shouldn't have a problem with people traveling to Africa, Colombia, Brazil, if you're a Pan-African, it's because those black people are abroad. They're just not here in America. But it burns me up, brethren on the panel, that you want black men to come back and the good brothers that didn't mess this community up, and you want them to come back and just, give their time, their resources, their energy. But yet we live in a country where they're constantly being subjugated by liberal policies. They're being emasculated. The manhood has always been questioned and challenged, and their image has been it's been highly marred in many ways. And the several offenses with the no voting, no vucking, Maxine Waters telling black men more or less to get in line and shut up, goofy-ish, but you want us to come back and save the community. I mean, make it make sense. This last election, you voted for policies that were antithetical to the black family and the black community. We had a woman that's vice president that historically voted for policies or used policies to more mass incarceration. We had a president that did the same thing. But I promise you, some of the same people that say they believe in Pan-Africanism and the unification of black men and black family, I bet you I would not be surprised if they voted for the same people that they say that they are against as it relates to community integration. Because you can't vote for policies against yourself, but then at the same time expect black men to come back and serve. It makes no sense in my opinion. Shout out to my man MC Recovery and Wellness for that $5 super sticker real quick. And then also shout out to my man R.D. Ruling Mental Heath. I just came back from Colombia, best experience I ever had. I see why they want to keep us brothers here and deal with the agents of the system, which is the woman, no doubt. Tim Harden, when did we start going to this dark vortex of brokenness, in your opinion? And what's your take on the whole SY Save Your Community Black Man? What's your take on it?
When we, I think it started with us as a black society, probably in the 50s. I think it goes back that far. I think we getting into 70, 80 years where it's snowballed to current times. Most everybody points to the civil rights period and the subsequent time after that, where black women, black society, quote unquote, black society was supposed to reap the benefits of the civil rights laws, etc. Then we end up with welfare. But I think that time that I'll say it this way, at 20 years, because we always say it takes a generation to change something. The generation is about 20 years. So that generation from coming out of baby boomers coming into us Gen Xers is where the pendulum swung in a different way, and doesn't look like we've been able to do. I don't even know that we wanted to do collectively to change it. We've already stated all the things that they want us to come back and fix a mess that somebody else has made.
Right.
In essence, and come up to 2022, and any black man worth his salt is like, nah, I'm not having that.
Right. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. So I think it did. I think it was, but I think one thing that we don't actually say, not only was it a social breakdown, it was a moral breakdown. I mean,
right.
And morality in the sense what we stated earlier. Yeah, girls. The young man mentioned girls twerking. A limo pulls up and everybody starts twerking, and I've known girls in high school that mom and that's in the 80s, late 80s into the 90s, took them to get a deletion,
right?
And so forth and so on. I ain't got time, don't have time to list all of the things that the moral decay that I don't even know if you could argue, oh, we should have stepped in. No, I'm of the mind if a joker wants to do something, they'll go ahead and do it. So we can say that civil rights afforded us these opportunities. We took them. I think Obsidian says that all the time, that we got what we wanted, which was freedom.
Right.
And what I think he meant by that is we fought for the right, those rights, and a woman could work, and a woman could go to school without really knowing what the backlash was going to be. And here we are. It's 40 years later. 1 in 4 women were ever married. 50% of us are single and childless. How are you gonna fix that?
You can't fix it. And men in general, the ones that are single, you just don't have the time to wait. Especially if you're a single man in your late 30s or early 40s, you never had
Andre
kids.
Said, I love Andre. Love Call Across the Border says, "Look, man, I gave you." And he and I are the exact same age. Look, I gave you. I ain't got another 50 years to give you.
You got another 50 years, right? You'll be get ready to see the Lord at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to meet my Creator at that point.
Right. And like I said, you and I remember when things were normal. We remember when women were more wholesome and more respectful. I'm not saying they were perfect, but we do remember a time where we didn't have the chaos that we have now. I'm going to ask you a question, Sir Hill, and then Brother Allen, and then we're going to go to Brother Shocks again and MC Recovery, and I don't know who the other brother is, but someone said the immigrants believe American blacks are dumb. We deserve our treatment, need their input. What's your take on that, Sir Hill? Then we'll go to Brother Allen, then Brother Shocks, then MC Recovery, and then back to Tim. Go ahead.
That's loaded. I can't say that I haven't heard that before. I have heard and seen that, but more so because a lot of people here don't appreciate the opportunities we have and we take it for granted. Where other people who come from less feel the need to take advantage of all the privileges we have. So I don't agree with the statement that we need help. We need somebody else's input. But I do think that speaks to all of the benefits and the amenities we have here that we don't appreciate how good we have it. And I think the state of what we're talking about now, the brokenness we see in the family and community, is starting to obviate that we take all these quote unquote blessings for granted. And now we're in a broken state. So that's my thought on that.
No doubt. What's your take on it, Brother? I forgot his name. Brother Shocks. Brother Allen, then Brother Shocks. What's your take on it, Brother Allen?
I agree with Sir Hill. After working overseas and helping a bunch of individuals come over here, within a year or two, they blossomed, flourished, and became owner-operators, truck drivers, started their own businesses. We take a lot of our freedoms for granted. One of the main issues with our community is we don't double down on actually improving it. We just, kind of are very blase as far as doing something with all the opportunity that's here. And that's something that I think is instilled in us as kids. Growing up in the 80s, we sung the little songs or whatever, talking about you can be a doctor and a lawyer and this, that, and the third, but I didn't see it.
Right. I think it's a value system. I think at one point, Brother Allen, our values were synonymous with some of the African immigrants, but somewhere it seemed like after civil rights, man, we lost that value. Black people were very progressive, man, at one point. We were unified. Our women were very conservative in dress, and they weren't promiscuous. They won't sleep with a bunch of men. But somewhere, once we integrated, we started taking on the liberal ideologies, and we lost our way, to say the least. Not all, but many did. And I do agree in part that we don't take advantages of opportunities in part. But there's a systematic shaping that plays a role in how we move and operate. I just held onto the values of my ancestors. Many don't and didn't. And I think that's what the succinct difference is. Like me and Brother Tim Harden, we're from a different generation. Gen Xers are between when things were normal and things were slowly getting progressive. We saw both sides of the coin. To the younger generation, like the millennials, y'all only saw what y'all saw. But I'm 51, so I remember a time when things were normal, where the dudes would talk with women and write love letters and music was copacetic. We romanced our women. It was a beautiful time, but I don't recognize the world that we see now, man. It's a different world. It's very delusional. There's a lot of thinking there. There's a lot of mental pathologies. The value system has been encapsulated into the American West. And because of that, we've slowly lost our identity trying to enmesh ourselves with the broader society, to say the least. There was a time you didn't have, black boys deleting themselves. Self-deletion was unheard of the black community when we were younger. I'm sure Tim remember that. But now self-deletion is normal, and becoming more normalized, sadly, in our community, to say the least. But self-deletion was something we didn't delete ourselves. We were a very resilient people. But we've lost our value, sadly, when a lot of our women go to these liberal schools. They don't know how to differentiate their core worldview from the worldview that's more or less been indoctrinated into them once they go to college. I was able to separate the difference. I'm an independent thinker. I know what I believe in. I went to UNC Chapel Hill. I love my school, but my school didn't change me. I still had my own worldview. I respected their positions, but I had my own worldview. But some cannot systematically disseminate between the two or read between the lines. But yeah, man, it's crazy, man. And to the young men that listen, like Brother Shocks, my heart goes out to them because they don't have a lot to choose from. And Sir Hill, I think you got married pretty young. You're a millennial, right, Sir Hill?
Yes, sir. Born in '87.
Right. Sir Hill says, you funny, man.
Yeah, I feel old. I remember 1987.
I was registering for the draft.
Yeah, Sir Hill was a puppy, man.
I remember what I was doing in 1987.
Sir Hill, when were you born, brother? 87?
Yes, sir. In August. You know what time it is.
Oh, yeah, I know what time it is, man. Yeah, if you was born in 87, hell, I was like 87, I was like 14 or 15, man. I was a sophomore in high school, man. So you like a little brother to me, man. Brother Ian, how you doing? Well, actually, Brother Shocks, what's your take on about African immigrants? And then I'm gonna go to Brother Ian Graves. Go ahead.
I feel like
it's MC Recovery. Go ahead, man.
It's a very complex sort of thing, and I like to kind of point out a couple of things. And all of this first things first. You mentioned something about indoctrination. There's this brother out of Harvard Grad School of Education. Last name is Givens. I forgot his first name. He did a study when he talked about fugitive teaching. Okay, when integration happened, that's when you started seeing the majority of white women teach in public schools. Mm-hmm. So where's that socialization and that structure and that grooming for, the next generation to do the things that they need to do as far as learning and being pipelined into more positive roles, right? Mm-hmm. So then you have, this sort of the crack era that was going on a little after that. And of course, black males have effectively become enemy of the state since then. Okay, so you basically deprive communities of things, right? On one hand, and then you give a sort of a New Deal package to our women after depriving our communities, and then you couple that with acting as though you're some sort of benevolent force within the community. Okay. Am I still here, gentlemen? What is going on with my neck? What's going on? So, to answer your question, when you're thinking about white proximity and stuff like that, when you have people come over, in fact, a lot of the naturalizations ceremonies have been done over at George Washington's Monticello plantation over in Virginia. So, we can't ignore that there's, other things that are being promoted to African immigrants who might not necessarily have the full understanding or context of things that are going on here in America. Now, there are a lot of people who are very informed of the opportunities that are here in America who are black, you know, who've been here fighting a good fight and stuff like that. But if we drinking the purple Kool-Aid of being an individual versus everybody else where they're a collective, then that's where we're running into a problems. Everybody else has a community that they can go back to. I like to land my plane there.
Yeah, I don't know why this thing is I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know if you all heard me.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the stream keeps dropping. I don't know what's going on. But go ahead, man.
Oh, okay. I don't know if y'all where I might have dropped you all, but in a nutshell, I was saying that everybody else has a community that they can go back to. Okay. Right. We as African Americans, we drinking the American Kool-Aid of individualism, while everybody else conduct themselves as a collective. I think that's the big difference. African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, they have their communities that they can go back to, be it Africa or the Caribbean or South America. Here, whether you're in a workplace or school or anywhere else, collectivism when it comes to Black folks have been met with some level of suspicion. So, you know, when you think about white proximity in general, where, you know, a lot of our sisters have been having access to Fortune 500 companies, educational institutions and things like that, who are they going to come across? They're going to come across people who have feminist views or LGBTQIA or who may be newly arrived and things like that, because we've been deliberately removed. And so with all those things kind of converging together, we've been effectively pushed out.
Yeah, I totally agree with Joe Jett. He said extreme individuality is very problematic. The community is an extension of self. I agree with Joe Jett 1,000%. Brother Ian, how would you like to add to the conversation? And what do you like about Chantelle's content as it seeks to invigorate men or Black men?
Yeah, when she was speaking to Courtney, you know, because Courtney is a chameleon essentially, because you know, and I found this out a while ago when the Peef wanted to bring the Arab chick on, right? And she went into full pro-Black mode, right? This is supposed to be a conversation. It was supposed to be a conversation about gender, men and women. And she decided to try to go on her page and try to drum up and get support from men to go against the female, because there might have been some slight kind of racism going on, right? But essentially, you know, is that she was intimidated by this Arab chick because she was, you know, very, very, very much feminine. You know, you could see, I mean, it was no doubt that she was a feminine female. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You know, sometimes, you know, you don't know, but, you know, you could tell with her, even not even knowing her, just seeing her on camera, you could see how feminine she was. Because a lot of women say that they are and they speak and they go back. She didn't do any of that. You could definitely see. She gave a story about how the person that she married, you know, was vetted by her, I think her brother and her father, right? So essentially, what we're looking at when we're talking about pro-Black and such, we're essentially talking about Black women essentially leading this fight in this pro-Black cause, because essentially what they want to do, they want to get the benefits that they're getting, right?
Right.
But as well, they want to kind of sanitize and they want to kind of redeem the image of Black people, but not for the sake that we think it is. The pro-Blacks are not trying to redeem their image to better the community. They're trying to redeem their image so that when they go in and you know, and they look black as night, you know, that they really want to feel like white people actually respect them. You know, so that they're on that cause to get white approval, you know, but and they know they can't necessarily be white, so they're trying to uplift Blackness to be on par with white so that they selfishly can fit in, you know. So essentially, I think you know, that's what's happened with this pro-Black cause, you know, that Courtney is on. But to the point of Chantelle, she said to Courtney, you know, when she was speaking to her, she's like, okay, if you are for men, right, you're supposed to be for men, no matter what. You know, you don't pick and choose for them and say, okay, you need to be for the community. But the community is not for the black man, you know, essentially what she said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can you really be for black men and say the black man needs to be for the family that doesn't exist and for the community that doesn't exist for him either? So essentially, you're not for the black man. So what is the point of you trying to pretend saying that you're for the community? The community has been dead for decades now.
For decades, I agree.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So she said, Chantelle said, you know, the woman was made for man. The woman was not made for the community. Okay.
That's an excellent point. The gospel does say the woman was made for man. You're right. I agree with that. Right.
Yes. You know, so there shouldn't be any qualms. If the man is telling you what he's about and what he needs and wants, don't come back with him talking about the fucking community, right? Because if he wanted to talk about the community, he would have said community. He would have said that, you know. But he's saying you need to be for me, then we can build the community. But she wants to go the other way around because she knows there's money and there's resources and such, and there's fame and fortune in getting black men to lift up the community, essentially doing the black female empowerment bit.
Right. Chantelle has been leading a different conversation. Some say she's pandering. I don't think she is. I think she's genuine. She's a good young lady. Why is it that it's sort of oxymoronic? Because on one end, Chantelle is pandering for black men. If black women advocate for other black women and tell them what they want to hear, are they not pandering at the same time?
Of course that's pandering. But essentially, that's what you have. You have women going out getting BBLs, all the eyelashes, the weave. Black men don't want any of that. So essentially, black women have been living to impress other black women for decades now. They're not even really interested in us. And essentially, in terms of Courtney, you know, she left the good man, right, and became single, you know, by her own hand, right? You know, she said she calls the ex-husband over or whatever to discipline the child. I mean, essentially, she's the you know, the exact opposite of what we're trying to achieve in this space. And especially when I saw her attacking that feminine female the way that she did. Men need feminine women no matter where they come from. You know, and if you're really for me as a black woman, you need to agree. You need to support me in that. You know, that's just a fact. And so Courtney essentially what Oprah Winfrey did with Stedman. You know, they want to have a man almost as a showpiece, right? You know, to boost their image again. You know, you had a tweet that came out where a sister said, you know, she's not really interested in dating us for us, but what she understood is that the only way she could raise her stock in the eyes of white men is if she can get black men to start pining over her. And that's essentially what most black women, including Courtney, are trying to do. They want to have a man on their arm just to show the white supremacy, hey, I still got it.
Yeah, I totally agree. What was your assessment of the young man, Brother Obi? What did you like what he said, and what did you disagree with?
Obi was terrible, essentially, because you know he is the quintessential immigrant who comes over here. But in his misunderstanding is that so he's kind of hypocritical because all of the talking points that he uses on his talk show he got from the black manosphere, essentially.
Good point.
Okay. So you know, how are you going to diss the manosphere? And you would not be where you are, but not for the manosphere, right? I mean, you could get on there and do talks with these females, but you wouldn't know any direction to go, and you couldn't deal with them from the higher position from which you dealt with, unless you understood the manosphere, which he said himself he studied. Right. So he's not giving credit where credit is due. So you don't come over here and say, oh, she's this and she's that. Listen, you know, anything that is a fruit of the manosphere, you know, they need to be respected, period. You know, you can't, you know, if I have a child, you can't disrespect my child and then say that somehow you have respect for me. That's not the way that works. That child represents me. And Chantelle even though she says she's not from the manosphere specifically, but she is an offspring of it, because now she's realizing the benefits, the mental and emotional benefits from going along with the talking points. These are not just talking. So if you apply these talking points to your life, they'll save your life.
They'll save your life, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, Brother Ian. As a licensed therapist, what we're doing here is more than what some people are doing in the church, but also in some clinical settings. Many men come to these spaces as they have what's called an existentialist crisis, which basically says, why am I here? And like I said earlier, many are not getting some of these viable outcomes from therapy because we don't live in a world where they respect and honor heteronormative masculinity. We tend to child it, and we tend to pulverize it and minimize the importance of masculinity. Anytime men speak as it relates to their needs, their wants, and their desires, is always minimized. Is always under a canopy of suspicion and a canopy of emasculation. And that's a problem, because I believe that all men, white men, black men, all men should have the right to self-determination to live their lives on their own terms. They should have the right to do what they want to do. But, anytime men begin to speak up, you get the SIMPS surfers, and you got all these goofballs. And I heard him saying something about Chantel's content not being relevant and it's regurgitated. But my logic is, when you say Kevin Samuels started the conversation, are you not using Kevin Samuels' name as a catch-all to help your channel grow?
Let me say this too, because part of because there's an article that just came out talking about how there's not enough black men donating sperm to sperm banks. Mm-hmm. All right. So essentially the article was about some lesbian black women, right? Mm-hmm. And they were saying that they don't understand how important they are, right? So essentially they were saying how important black men were, but in the context that they wanted to just use our sperm so that they can have a baby for their lesbian relationship. And this is essentially the problem that we're looking at when you're talking about being pro-black. You're talking about us basically being sperm donors, essentially, but with no power and neutered of our strength and our masculinity.
I totally agree. I totally agree with that. Who was I going to next? I don't know if it was who was I going to? Was it Brother Counsel, Brother MC Recovery? I'm sorry. What did you think about what Ian said, real quick, man? What did you think about what he was saying?
I don't think Courtney is a chameleon. I've talked with her a lot, and I think she's a decent woman who's had to grow through some things and who has humbled herself publicly. So I got to give her credit for that. But I do not personally believe she's a chameleon. I do want to mention something about that thing about Chantel's content. Mm-hmm. I thought that was terrible, and I'll tell you why. If you watch Chantel's content, she is probably one of the most logical ladies on here.
The whole time, sorry, when you say terrible, you mean terrible good, or you talking about the way he attacked her? I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I'm sorry, the way he attacked Chantel's page.
Got you, yes, sir.
Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm, right.
Chantelle, she's logical in terms of the way she thinks about things. And one thing that I also respect about her is it could be easy. She could just be cute. She could, you know what I mean, put on something nice, get right. But she's intentionally not done that so that she can focus on the message. And so if you really assess her content, even though she has her shows be dope. I love being on there.
Right.
But her message is consistent. And any black woman who's telling young sisters to prioritize family and relationships, prioritize your health, and give black men what they want, what are we going to say negative about that? That's what we want. And even if she's regurgitating points, well, that's great. We need amplifiers. We need people. We need women who are speaking the things that men want. And if she's not hurting us, then what's the real complaint?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Shout out to my man, RD Ruling Mentality. He said his brother was on point. I want some of the guys to come up. Alonzo Robinson said he think your judgment sucks. And then he said she said every black man wanted her dead. Wake up. Well, listen, Brother Alonzo, come up and let's have a conversation. I respect your position as well. Because I'm not here to castigate aspersions at nobody. I don't know, like I said, I don't really know her like that. I met her in part. I think she's genuine in some areas, but some feel that she is a commit. I I don't know, and really I don't care. I'm just here to amplify the message for black men and help black men become the better versions of themselves, and to make sure that black men get the best. I want to see these young men get the best. That's what my mission is.
Coach, do you mind if I say a quick point?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother. Huh? Yes, sir.
So that brother there, he's absolutely correct with that. I mean, I was always told that women got more game than you do. Mm-hmm. And so if somebody does need to promote the message, I don't really see any harm in that. But what I did see harmful, and something that we really got to pay attention to, and this is a little self-review and honesty, the very Pookies and Ray Rays that we complain about, or let me correct myself, that of course they complain about, particularly Hapeef's crowd. He went on a sort of YouTube stage and conducted himself in that manner. Mm-hmm. He didn't have any level of decorum. He didn't have any level of respect. He didn't have any level of any sort of grace with this lady on her platform. So the very sort of mentality that this guy Obi and Hapeef has talked about or complained about, they turn around and do. In fact, I would even take it a step further, okay, and say that even the sort of Black immigrant experience versus FBA experience, and I'm not knocking, our brethren globally, but there's issues that they may have in their own communities, and they come within the American sort of aspect, and it gets accented. Okay, there's lots of projections of the things that go on in their community, such as he mentioned colorism and bleaching and all this other stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, that stuff happens here in America, but not to the extent that it does elsewhere. I'll land my plane there.
No doubt. Joe Jazz says Chantelle is definitely logical. That's why her material isn't appealing to many women who want a feel-good message. And that's my point, Sir Hill. Tell me what you think. The young man, Obi, said that she should cater her content towards women having a conversation with men about women issues, or I don't know, about women and bringing women in to be agents or to talk about male issues. But the problem is when you talk about raw issues pertinent to male issues, that's not censored, it's not minimized. Many don't want to hear it. She has a large following of women, probably around about, let's say about 8,000 of her viewers on subs are women, but the rest are men. What does that tell you? That when you tell the truth and speak raw, objective truth, Sir Hill, a lot of women don't want to hear it. So when they say, well, have a conversation, well, what kind of conversation are you having? Are you nuancing it to the point and using syrupy language to get women into your good graces? What's your take on that, Sir Hill?
I think what you said is facts. And here's the beauty of this. Right. So this is why I love what you do, because what you do is you go into a man's core and you show men what they are worth.
Right.
Yes, you are worth this. You have something to build. What Chantelle Simone is able to do is talk about what men deserve. And we need our women letting us know, because of all these years we've been told we got to perform and have these high-paying jobs just to get decency and kindness. And it's like, no, Chantelle as a woman is able to affirm and to almost connect with what you're saying, to say, no, what, this is what you deserve, man. And not only this is what you deserve, don't accept less than that. So for someone to come and speak to her and try to get her to tailor her content in a different way, who the hell are we to tell a content creator
right
how to tailor their content?
I totally agree. That was very arrogant. That was very arrogant, very condescending, and almost like elitist to some degree. Like, you got all the answers, and I wish the hell somebody would come on my platform, Sir Hill, and tell that. They're gonna see a side of me that they never seen before.
I wanted to give some kind of context, because I think, when you say Courtney is not a chameleon, understand, right? I'm not trying to get in the heart and mind of another human being, but when I say chameleon, you have to understand, is her approach actually beneficial to Black men. So I'm thinking logically. I'm not thinking as an emotional person. I'm more emotional than her, and I can kind of dissect her emotions. I really don't give a damn about where she's at emotionally. I'm only care about the outcomes.
Right.
And so when I say the word chameleons, I'm looking at the outcome of the message that she's giving out. And essentially, when you look at it logically, women are not able to give a message, right? Essentially, if you're talking about a real feminine woman, right? She should, for the most part, she should not have a message like that. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, unless she is either castigating women or lifting up men, because women do not learn through just listening, and hearing. They have to learn by example. So essentially, it's a kind of cap when you trying to say somehow that a woman is getting on a platform and she's going to turn around, as BGS said, stop this train, and turn it around. It's going to take miles for it to even stop, let alone turn around. So the idea that you think that somehow these women, Courtney, that she's going to do some kind of service to women, no, I think that's very disingenuous, and that's not really being respectful of the conditions that Black men are facing. So a chameleon is, if she really cared about Black men, she would be honest with Black men about the state of dating and marriage to Black women, but she's not, for the most part. For the most part, she tries to stay just above the fray, of the other women, but she's not going full force and saying, okay, this is actually the state of Black women, and I just can't accept that.
Brother Allen, what do you think? And then I'm gonna go to Brother Harden, and then back to Sir Hill and the MC. Well, actually, I want to get MC Recovery's point as well. But starting with MC Recovery, then Brother Allen, then Tim. He said, I think brothers are too loose with who they call chameleons, and they have no solid proof to back their suspicion. It's annoying. What's your take on that, MC Recovery? Then to Brother Allen, then to Sir Hill, and then Brother Counselor. Go ahead.
Basically what I got from that Lapeef show was that, could our Black women learn from other cultures and in ways, and then what I saw is like they ain't gonna be willing to do that. And then but so far I just basically been enjoying the show, and where it's like it's a lot of work out here to be done, because and Chantelle Simone stuff. What I do like about her show is that it's a variety and a plethora of information over there, and I got a lot of women to her show, even my sisters and other family members. And it's because she sounds like one of both my little sisters. Mm-hmm. So that's the spirit that I picks up when I watch her show. I don't pick up that new pick me stuff and mammy stuff. I pick that sisterly love stuff up.
Right. Respect. What's your take, Brother Allen, about this so-called chameleon stuff, which I personally don't care. But what's your take on this so-called chameleon stuff, real quick, Brother Allen?
Well, whether she's a chameleon or not is neither here nor there to me personally. Mm-hmm. They've garnered the attention of other women, mm-hmm. and as long as they are regurgitating the talking points that have been used in the manosphere, and they can express them to these women to show them where they messed up at, mm-hmm. and show them how to correct and redirect themselves, I'm cool with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately, you're not going to have a woman speaking on the same level of Kevin Samuels that's going to capture the minds and hearts of these other women, because women are competitive.
Right.
So, of course, they're going to want to outshine one another. Mm-hmm. And I just had to add, because I used to travel the world, I would witness more women in Africa using skin bleaching creams than any damn thing. So I'm not really sure where the brother was going with that. where Obi was going with that.
Fair point. Sir Hill, what's your take on what Top Gun said, man? You got any answers? You got any nuance to that?
Yes. So, again, I don't think I've talked to Courtney, and she's been on my show numerous of times, and her message is consistent, that she is for the Black family, for that. And I think she's done a good job to stick to that. So I don't think that she's a chameleon. And I do think that it's really easy to throw that out there if you take bits and pieces of what you see. Well, we know as content creators, you have to look at a person's body of work on their channel and through different spaces. And if you go through, you will see a consistency in her message. And so while her message is different than the way Chantelle does it, again, anybody who is throwing in their hand to help do good for a community that needs help, I think we got to respect that and welcome them.
But here's the problem, because I think you guys are trying to use this kind of you're purposely not dealing with the facts. And the fact is, she got thrown into the fray just recently because she came out with Save the Community, Black man, right? But that was in response to what? To SYSBM. Okay, so essentially, that's all cap. You talking about she cares about this? No, she's trying to come at the Passport Brothers, and essentially that's the same thing that she said that she grew from, right? When that Arab sister came on the Lapeef network and she got her panties in a bunch, right? And again, that was what, a year or so ago or more, right? She hasn't grown. If the Passport Bros and SYBM are doing their thing, why are you're talking about she has a consistent message? Why is she coming out against them, talking about what they need to do? See, essentially, you are a chameleon if you are telling Black men what to do, right? I'm not talking about what she's telling women, right? So let's not play that game. She's coming out speaking on what men should do for the community, right? And anytime you have a woman doing that, you're dealing with a dangerous individual, because a woman it's not her place to tell a man anything with regard to the family or the community, period. And I'll land there.
Hey, Coach, can I?
Yeah, hold tight. Let me read this chat out about Top Gun real quick, and then Tim Harden, then back to Sir Hill. Hold tight. Top Gun said, hold tight.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it.
Did you guys hear that? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Top Gun say, if I'm not mistaken, as the guest pointed out earlier, when Amira came on the Lapeef network, someone was actively advocating for staying on code. Can the SYCBM break the same code? Interesting point. So yeah, go ahead. Who wanted to address it? And then I want to go back to Sir Hill.
I was going to jump in.
Go ahead, brother.
I want to take a stab at it. I think I kind of want to thread the needle, so to speak, between I'm looking at Brother Shock and my brother in the red Adidas.
Sir
Hill. Sir Hill. How you doing, Sir Hill?
Appreciate you.
If we don't want to say, let me say it this way: if we don't want to say that Courtney is a chameleon, maybe we can consider this. I think she's very conflicted. If you kind of chronologically over the last 9 months to a year, her message and her interactions, she's gone from one side to the other. You mentioned she did the host. I believe right before she left Lapeef, she did a stream, I think like 45 minutes to an hour, where she apologized to, I don't know if it was her husband or her child's father, that she left him, and then I think subsequently she took him off child support. Then she back to the Amiri, I believe that was young, the Arab. She's an Arab young lady. They had a back and forth, and then she switches to, I'm all pro-Black, which will lead me back to my earlier point. Is I think she had it, and y'all have to forgive me, I'm an accountant, so I like to look between what's the why behind a number. We always taught that, what drove a profit, what drove a loss. But so I was like, well, why does she seem to take issue with Chantelle when I was watching, and I'm doing it as a content, not a content subscriber, not a content maker. So I'm sitting back looking at all that, and I said, well, why would she just kind of go off the rails with Chantelle the first time before this interaction with Obi? And she's the crying episode, and she says, well, what about our children? And I was like, well, that ain't got nothing to do with, saving the Black community and or men seeking to do something better for themselves, i.e. SYSBM. I'll also add this to the record, Kosher. You forgot this. I believe it's on, what's the guy in Thailand? Richie Mack. On Richie Max, they kind of threw out this another acronym. She says jokingly is still I'm not gonna cuss, I'm a Sunday school superintendent. Still they AZZ, I'll do it that way. That way can't nobody accuse me of cussing. Still I'm back. So I'm like, well, okay, you're conflicted that you realize that you made a mistake in your personal life, yet you want to, in a broader sense, you want to save the community. Then you're mad at another young lady. And let me say this about Chantelle. I like Chantelle for this. She is straight up and down logical. She even has made the comment, take me out of it. I'm trying to point to young women so that they won't make the mistakes I made. You can't give her nothing but respect for that. That's right. That's straight up and down. We're coordinated in my estimation. It's a mistake to, on the one hand, you want to steal us back, but the community's not any good. You're not going to offer us nothing in the community. But what she fails to realize, I learned this analogy in college. A train track has two rails and they run in the same direction. Two things can be right at the same time.
Right.
Now, if you want, and what I'm saying is, she wants to work on the community and do that, that's fine. But Chantelle is also exactly right, because she's saying that, hey, I made this mistake. That's the reason why I'm 30 and not married. I'm trying to explain that to younger women. In addition, I'm telling Black men, if the community is not salvageable, then they should be able to explore the world and save themselves from the.
I totally agree. That's why I'm pro heteronormative masculine. But I won't Sir to add to what Top Gun is saying. But Cortez says something that's very important, and I'm gonna tell you guys why. But Top Gun, I mean not Top Gun. Sir Hill, I want you to add some nuance to what Top Gun said. But then also, Cortez Smith said, "Bro, her bringing on that Daniel show, she's disingenuous." And now this is where I'm going to agree with Cortez. And I'm going to tell you why, Sir Hill. This guy, I call him Nate the Magic Negro. He ran down me. He ran down Guapo. He ran down Dre with Love Crossing Borders. He was castigating us, disrespecting us. Just like I had a clown that, that came in the show a couple of minutes ago. And this is what happened. Anytime men speak, if my worldview or ideology don't mess with yours, don't disrespect me. But this guy, Nate the Magic Negro, was calling folks these country N-words. He was disrespecting a bunch of the brothers. We never done nothing to him. But yeah, he was disrespecting us because of how we felt about being passionate. And my logic is this: if I don't agree with Sir Hill's worldview, I'm not going to go on Sir Hill's channel. I'm not going to troll this channel. But you got these clowns that are trying to tell grown men how to respond and act. And I got a problem with that. And so I can see what Cortez is saying, because it's almost like you're trying to get an agent to come in to pacify and to justify that what we're doing is wrong. Because Nate castigated me. He talked about Guapo. He talked about several content creators at the time. When we did the show, Sir Hill, about going to Brazil, he was up there mocking us and denigrating us. And then right after that, she brought Nate on, and that's why some people feel like it's disingenuous. But tell me what you think, real quick, Sir Hill. Go ahead, brother.
So what am I addressing, just to be clear?
Well, the point about what Top Gun said, but then also about what I said about Nate, if that makes sense.
Yes. So So you guys, maybe I'm not the best person to be in this because
that's fine. That's fine. You probably don't know about them. That's fine.
Yes. So here's what I'm saying. So I have a different relationship with Courtney. We're not the best of friends, but I've got history with her, and I know what her goals are. So I can take the perspective of how what she's doing is perceived and respect that. But my perspective still stands as well.
Okay. What's your take on what Top Gun said? What's your take on that?
Yeah. So I did see that episode, but I think they made amends after that as well, because that's what it looked like. That episode was really interesting and it got heated. But the reason for that, though, it wasn't just that it was a mirror. From what I know, it was we didn't want to feel like someone from the outside had to come in and tell Black people what to do. So I think that had to do with some of what was going on, is that we didn't want outside influences speaking on Black issues. We wanted to take care of that in-house. I think that whole incident was based off of that goal there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm glad he cleared that up, because I was trying to be. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I was just trying to give an overview, but you're exactly right, sir.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
ahead.
Kevin Samuels, when he talked about wife school, he talked about bringing Arab women, Latin women, Asian women in to actually teach Black women how to act, how to be a wife. Amira's level of femininity and decorum was so up here that it showed them that they were down here. Courtney, she's conflicted. KS was one of her mentors. He's gone. So as of right now, she's all over the place. But at the same time, it looks like, just my perspective, that's all. It looks like she wants to save the community, but she still wants something for herself, and she still wants Black men too. So it's all these different things that are all happening at one time in one person. And women are emotional by nature. So you can't.
That sounds like that. When you say all those different things, that sounds like a chameleon to me. And again, I'm not getting into trying to impugn her integrity or anything. I'm just saying, if she's all those different things, that's essentially a chameleon.
Bro, she's a woman, and she's just acting like a woman at the end of the day. A broad and act like a broad.
Right, but here's the problem though. Some women understand that they're women, right? And they know when to shut up. Right? So here's the problem. If you're conflicted, you need to go sit your ass down and know that you need to be fucking sat down.
I agree, sir. But her mentor that could tell her to sit down, he ain't here no more. So she doesn't have a man over top of her. She doesn't have a man as her head. Who's going to tell her as a content creator, you need to sit your ass down?
Well, we can tell.
It's going to be a problem. If I do it, it's going to be a problem.
No, guys. I'm sorry. And do you guys have do you guys talk to her at all?
No, negative.
Yeah. So that's just, what you guys are saying is just not true. It's speculation. And I respect that, but she has people, and I think like all of us, if you've been a content creator for a while, you're going to evolve, and I think that she's doing that as of now.
Let me ask you a question, Sir Hill. Obi came up with the acronym "Still There Behind His Back." You know what I'm talking about. What's your take on that acronym? Do you think it's very insidious, to say the least? And do you think it's minimizing the rights of what Black men want? And it's a loaded question. So what do you think about the STAB acronym, to say the least? What's your take on it?
And what does it stand for again?
Still There A's Back.
Oh, well, we don't want to be stole back. Like, we want to be welcomed back. We want to come back. Don't steal us. We trying to. So I think what it does is that to me is dismissive.
Like, very dismissive, condescending.
I'll give you a coach. I'll make this real quick. So I did a counseling session. There's this woman, husband walked away. He didn't want to come back home anymore. She, praying like, look, send my man back. Send my man. I mean, she in full tears. I mean, she's really going through it. She is having a hard time. She want her husband back. And, I asked her, what has she done to make it palatable for him to come back? And essentially she wanted him to come back, but she didn't want to clean the house up. Not interested in making sure that man is feel loved. She wanted him to be back so she could feel good without giving that man what he needs to want to be there. And I think when we talk about stealing a black man back, that's selfish. If you have to steal me back, that means you getting me, I give you value, but what do I get in return? And I think women should not try to steal anybody back. You should be a resource and so inspiring that I want to be with you so I don't have to be stolen away.
Well,
So
I
I
like
think it's dismissive.
Yeah, I like something Brother Allen said. Definitely still deal with them in accord to knowledge. Women by nature are survivalists, and they can be opportunists when it comes down to their survival. And I always got one eye open. I always watch for contradiction of what they say. And so I agree with Brother Allen on that, 1,000%. Max71 said her interview with Cheryl Zah was genuine to me. Said more of a business strategy for views. She asked the same questions that's been answered before. Interesting. RD Ruling Mentality said that, he said the dude said she's a chameleon after all this. Okay. But Shocks, what did you want to add to the conversation? I think Shocks was trying to say something. Go ahead, Brother Shocks.
Oh, I was saying that it brings slave catching to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? In context,
right?
But I would say that people are entitled to freedom of choice. Oh boy has had his ulterior motives and stuff like that. What
do you think his ulterior motives were?
His ulterior motives was, nothing else, pander. I'm just gonna call it what it is. You would know more context. As far as the American history and the socio-economic and all these different aspects of what's going on. He just didn't sound informed whatsoever. So the only sort of voices he hear are the voices that he's most likely has heard. Those who are in the company of white proximity, either work, the university, out in the community, or whatever the case may be. And of course, it pays to pander. So go out there and get us some sperm donors or whatnot, And for somebody who really doesn't understand or really doesn't have any context, there's no real sort of incentive not to.
Right. Okay, Sir Hill, I got you, brother. You got the roll. Thank you, man. I love you, brother. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, brother. Sir Hill. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, guys. Yeah. This is just getting interesting. I'm gonna sign off in a minute. I'm tired, man. I got to get ready. I've been working all day. But Brother Marcus Evans, I'm joining in the conversation. I'd love to hear your point of view if you want to, Brother Marcus Evans. I do respect your position. But I think Cortez Smith made a good point about that. Nate the Magic Negro, and it is a little disingenuous to bring someone on like Nate that was against men traveling abroad and men talking about their passport bros. And Nate has some choice words to say about brothers traveling. Ian, what's your take on this guy Nate the billionaire, man, that was running down black men? And what's your take on that?
Essentially, I didn't hear all of what was said, but essentially, he is part of the problem in the black community, and he basically is a robot, or black women have put a battery in his back, essentially. So a lot of men, because you were talking about pro-black earlier, Pan-African earlier. So a lot of men understand that black women don't respect them, right? So right. The way that they kind of manipulate themselves into relationship with black women is going to pro. Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, it's an echo, man. I don't know where the echo's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know what's the echo either. Okay, I turned my YouTube off. Okay, so essentially, a lot of men understand that they really can't deal with a black woman because black women's nature and women's nature altogether, they're not respectful of black men, and they're not really interested in black men. So essentially, the route that they go, because I have a friend that I had to cut off. He said essentially the reason that he's doing reparations and he's doing this pro-black is because he's trying to form relationships with black women instead of just saying I'm a black man and you're a black woman, right? Without the extra pro-black and white supremacy, right? Just as human beings, right? So he says essentially, go this pro-black route because I know you don't give a damn about me, right? So I'm essentially going to feed into your narcissism of this pro-blackness, which is really essentially giving goodies and benefits to black women. So essentially, he understands that as he does that, right, black women are going to say, "Oh, he's pro-black, right? I can use him as a stepdaddy."
Let me ask you a question. Where do we go from here? I'm starting with Brother Allen. Then we're going to end the stream, man. I'm tired, man. I love you, brothers. But Brother Allen,
Coach, I know you're going around. Can I make a point?
Who's that?
Yeah, this is Counsel.
Yeah, go ahead, Counsel. I'm sorry, brother. I apologize.
Counselor Mr. G.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. G. Go ahead.
No problem. No problem.
I meant to get you. I apologize. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, here's the thing. Now, with this whole thing about who's a chameleon and who's not, now, I really don't care much about that. You know, like I said, I don't know Courtney. And I think one of the brothers had a point in terms of women being that by nature and just them being in this space. I think there has to be an understanding that they are guests in the space. And I do agree with one of the brothers when he said that they really shouldn't have that much to say unless they are amplifying the message. I do agree that they should be here because they are part of the issue. So for the brothers who say, well, no, they don't have a place. I typically disagree with that because I do think there's a place for them in the conversation, but certainly not as thought leaders. And if they are, amplifying our message, and I think that's important. I think Chantelle does that. You know, I don't know her personally. I have been on her show a few times. I've contributed to her platform because I do think she adds value. She is logical. She does make sound arguments. So in that case, I do think that she has a place. Now, in terms of this terminology, how people really start throwing out these names, such as calling someone a panderer and all of that, we have to be clear about what certain words mean. So when we think about the word pander, and this is the definition of pander. It means to gratify or indulge an immoral or distasteful desire, need, or habit, or a person with such a desire. Now, what is it in her message for those who are accusing her of being a panderer? If she's telling black men to value themselves enough to go where they're appreciated, there's nothing immoral in that message. However, from this guy Obi's perspective, if he's telling black men to stay in a situation that is harmful to them, because what we're looking at, we're not just talking about the dynamic between black men and black women, we're talking about a society that's actually against black men. So if he is telling them to stay in that particular situation, then that's something that is immoral and distasteful. So by definition, he's being the panderer because he's pandering to those women, such as Courtney, who may want the black men to stay for their selfish reasons, because even Courtney is on record saying that she doesn't want black men to go because she wants a black man. And in fact, my assessment is that she has a scarcity mentality. She feels that for every black man that leaves, that's less for her to choose from. And I think that's part of the problem. You know, she's too emotionally invested from a personal standpoint in this whole situation to be judicious as far as saying, okay, well, listen, because, Chantelle doesn't have that problem. She's secure enough in her life to where she can look at it in the abstract. And she's just saying, hey, you guys go where you're going to get the best life for you. Whereas Courtney is like, no, because for every one of you that go, that's less for me. Well, and that's framing her whole mentality with this.
Right. To be fair, Counselor MG, it's sort of that columns because she does say go where you want to go at. But then on the flip side, she said we won't. So it's like it's back and forth. On 1 minute, she said go live your life the way you want.
But that's what I'm saying. She's only saying that I've heard her say that too. But she's saying that in response to when people call her out on it. Just like when people start calling her out on the stab thing, then all of a sudden, well, yeah, you can go where you want. Well, if that was the case, then why are you talking about you're going to steal somebody back? See, it's a conflict. So, it's not about, mixing it up once you're getting called out. What is your default position? And her default position is very clear. She doesn't agree with black men who decide that they're going to go abroad. I mean, I think that's clear, irrespective to what she says after she gets pushback. And I think that the main thing that's the undercurrent of that is her own personal desires for herself, in that she wants to have, a black man and to be married and whatnot. But, I think that there's a conflict there. And I'm just going to land my plane with this. This whole notion about her being a chameleon, that could very well be the case, but that's for whatever man she's going to deal with to do, whatever man that she's going to deal with, that's his problem. So I think we need to back away from calling who's a chameleon and who's not, because at the end of the day, this is YouTube, so whatever she's saying, it doesn't impact me or, what I'm going to do in my life. But I think that as men, we need to kind of walk back some of the sky is falling with some of what these women are doing, because at the end of the day, they're going to flip flop and do all this stuff. But as men, we're going to stay on our purpose and do what we need to do. So, if she is a chameleon, then hey, whatever man she's going to get with, that's his problem, not mine.
No doubt. Go ahead, Tim. I know you had to say something. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah,
I'm going to end it. Go ahead.
I want to answer the question. I guess the last question or issue of the night, and I got to go because it's 1 o'clock in the deep.
It's 2 o'clock in North Carolina. I'm tired, man.
So where you said, I think you said where do we go from here? Right. I'll frame it a little different. What is it going to look like moving forward? What will we look like going into the future? I don't know, but I think that we have a good idea. I want to personally thank you.
I appreciate it, brother.
For giving us a platform to speak, because this gives us an idea of what will we look like. Because this is, if you take out what we said tonight, chameleon, conflicted, got a joker bashing us, calling us all kinds of names because we want to go overseas. But what we do know in our lived reality, it's not going to look like what it did yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And I often think about this. I'm in North Texas, and of course we've got the immigration issue. And I heard someone say this years ago about our Hispanic brethren. They said that they were going to take Mexico back, which Tejas, Texas, New Mexico, all used to be Mexico. And we're going to take it back and not fire a shot.
Yep.
You got to factor things like that in. What does that look like? And the reason why I'm mentioning that, because I notice more and more, and let me just go on and say, I'm in that group. You're going to have a lot of Blexicans and black and Nicaraguans, because we have a lot of those immigrants up here. The world is going to look, and my point is, the world is going to look different moving forward.
Oh yeah. Right. No, you're right.
For us, it's going to look different. That's what I see. How it's going, how we're going to do. I think Brother Sperling down in Houston talked about this a couple of weeks ago about, what is it going to be? You're going to take your Hispanic wife and move next door to Keisha. But we got to think about what that will be in the next 5 years, next 10 years. So I want you to keep pressing on. I'm gonna donate to the robot, because you're doing a great work for us.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, donate to
you're
the
doing
robot,
a great
man.
work for us. But they keep on fooling around, and I'm gonna start speaking. I'm gonna start speaking Spanish and eating tacos all the time.
Yeah, but I got a 15-year-old right in there taking them to McDonald's now.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that we have the state fair here in Dallas, and you just kind of eyeballing, just as Kevin Samuel said, what is your lived reality? And I was looking around, and you saw
the whole world in the next 10 years is going to be khaki and brown. It's that simple.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Right.
There is no way around it. Period.
There's no way around it. Look at Kobe Bryant's girls. His wife was definitely a mestizo.
Right.
He was showing up a brother, but if you look at all those girls, they black.
Well, you know, it ain't nothing new. There are black Mexicans delivering
They're black
guaro
Mexicans.
or
Yeah,
Costa
there's a
Chica,
whole
even in some of the Latin countries, Central America and
Central
South
America.
There are
Yeah.
a lot of Afro-Latin, so it ain't nothing new. It'll be new to us, but it's not new
It'll,
to
yeah,
them.
it'll. I was gonna say it'll be new to us, and it'll be new to this. Well, I won't even say new to the conversation because we'll, you know, like you said, it's just gonna look different. So
right.
I think moving forward, we're gonna have to kind of. I think we'll have to shift the conversation to, hey, what will we do? What are we gonna do? What is it gonna look like moving forward?
I want to ask you guys a question real quick, and then we're gonna sign off. Starting with Brother Ian. Ian, I'm gonna let you break it down, but I gotta get off. I'm tired, man. It's been almost 4 hours, man. Every time men begin to speak, Brother Ian, Brother Allen, Counselor MG, Tim Harden, and all, and guys, make sure y'all donate to the channel. They always say, y'all still talking about women. And my whole point is, why are you on the channel if you got a philosophy and an ideology that's not intermeshed with yours, but you want to come on somebody's channel trolling? If you don't believe in what I'm saying, take your ass somewhere else. You know, go on the channel and push your own agenda. But the fact every time men speak, you try to infuse your ideology and philosophy into mine or theirs, I find that highly distasteful and disrespectful. But what's your take on that, Brother Ian? You know, every time men begin to speak, we're going to get off because I'm ready to go, but keep it under 1 minute, Brother Ian. But and then we're going to do a psychic soul train. But anytime black men speak, y'all always talking about women. What's your take on that, Ian?
Well, essentially, what that person is doing, they want to keep the ruling class, which is black women, in power. And the way they do that is through a social conditioning and through basically a vote, essentially by black men saying we still have a vote of confidence in these women. So essentially, he doesn't want things to change. So and he knows that these conversations are changing things. So essentially, you know, he's trying to use this bravado, this false bravado, saying, okay, let's just talk down to black men and castigate black men. But black men have been castigated. We've been thrown down to the ground, right? We don't listen. I mean, I can tell you about horrendous experiences. We live that life every day. We don't need to talk down to each other. We live that life, right? And essentially, while we're living that life on the ground, the black women are living it up, and they are the ones who are controlling our destinies. So essentially, we have to talk down to them because we have to take them off the perch. You know, you have got Stacey Abrams, you got the lady on MSNBC downing Kevin Samuels and Tariq Nasheed. Right? This conversation is a social on a social level, but it has political implications. And a lot of these men, they're not just trolls; they're agents, because essentially they do not want the matriarchy to come down and for black men to regain their place, so we can actually do something in terms of moving the community and the family forward.
And I like what you said. You said something powerful earlier. You said that, and I'm gonna hear Brother Allen under 1 minute. You're right. The woman was made for man, so we don't set an agenda based on her thought process. We set an agenda based on what we deem to be necessary, and you follow our agenda. We're not following your lead. You're supposed to be following our lead. Brother Allen, go ahead real quick, brother, and then Brother Shocks. And Brother Tim, if you want to donate, man, you can do it. Donate, do Cash App if you want to, or Super Chat. It's up to you, brother.
Okay, I'll hit the Cash App. I'm on this janky Android, so give me a bit and I'll do that.
All right, brother. All right, thank you, man. Go ahead, Brother Allen, real quick, under 1 minute. Go ahead.
Brother N is he's correct. But the reason they don't want the matriarchy to fall, the reason they don't want us to actually take our place is because they'd have to be men then.
Right.
They couldn't hide. They'd have to detach from mama's tit. Everything about you as a grown man, as a real actualized man, is an offense to them. So they fear that. They would have to get out here and unplug from the matrix. And they're scared. I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it.
Right.
This is fear potion for them. They hate it. They don't want no parts of it. That's why they defend the matriarchy so hard.
Excellent point.
You're a threat.
No,
we're a threat.
I totally agree. Who else I want? Who else? I think it was MC. Go ahead, MC, real quick. We're gonna sign off, man.
Well, I can say from what's going on in spaces I'm in, because I work for the county, state, and then we're in the background, and I try to plug everybody up as much as possible to knock that matriarchy down, or at least flatten it. So when you see us coming, because a lot of men in my spaces is doing what we is doing here, but some of these guys work with the problem youth, the gangbangers at school, the ones that need help, the ones that want to leave the community and maybe not come back because it's not no community to come back to.
Right. It's not.
Yep, and then
that's the whole point.
Yeah. So what I was reflecting while we was right up here, when Shucks mentioned about that crack era, that was at the time when me and all my homeboys fathers had auto shops, furniture stores. My dad had a used appliance store, and it just seemed like some of us was messing around with alcohol and drugs, but then when we fixed ourselves up, everything was gone. Everything, stores, everything, and then we saw other people selling the products we was once selling, working on the cars that we was once working on. So if people want to go and build that elsewhere, let them do it. So we can. Yeah, let them do it. If they want to build cars or do real estate, open up stores, let them do it. That's why I was asking those questions to when Kosher had that show. I was asking about the laws and stuff. Maybe I could set up shop elsewhere and build me a legacy. Because like I said, my son, he went to McDonald's with he came home late. He called me. I'm at McDonald's, and I find out who he's in. But them other women is competing.
Right, they compete. Right,
He's 15. Right. He's 6 feet, 15 years old. They're competing.
And I'm gonna tell you something else too. As I'm about to sign off, people always say, the ones that want to stay in America. But I promise you, once they get a passport and see the world for what it is, by and large, they'll never see the world the same again. And I think that's the scary point. If you have a limited perspective of what you can get and you're only insular or isolated to one area, then you might say, I want to stay in America. But as a young average man that traveled abroad and you go out and see women that are feminine, I'm talking about ultra feminine, kind, respectful. We're not saying the foreign women don't have game. Foreign women got game too. A woman gonna be a woman regardless of where you go. They're just socialized different. And we got a good show coming up tomorrow, guys, called She Covery, Mental Health Crisis, Yes or No. About y'all gonna love that one. It's gonna be dope, man. And it's gonna be a surprise for you guys, but y'all gonna really love this one. They're gonna be very in depth. And I'm killing the game, guys. I gotta slow down though, man. I'm killing the game, man. But I gotta slow down. I ain't as young as I used to be.
Please do. You need to, man.
Yeah, I just want to say something. I always appreciate when you mention what your father got. He got a virgin. He got all this stuff back then, and I can definitely relate because I've been told I look younger, but I'm actually kicking 50 in the ass, right?
Oh, so good, man.
I'm not. Good. Yeah, thanks. But the point is, I always kind of juxtapose what I saw growing up, seeing my grandfather and my grandmother who were married for 60 years, and that dynamic. And those of us who are older, we know what a real patriarchal family looks like, and we know the stability that it brings. So this whole notion about us coming back to a community and this, that, and the third, we don't have the same things that our forefathers had in terms of the respect, in terms of the place that we are supposed to hold. I remember, your grandfather, he eats first.
Right.
He gets the big piece of chicken. In fact, he was the one. I remember as a little boy, I would go there because I'm from the Chi-Town, but I spent time in the South. I saw my grandfather go out and kill the chicken. And my grandmother was the one kid, because before that I didn't know where, I just remember seeing the chicken on the plate. But my grandfather, and he had me right there next to him. He wanted me to see where this food came from. He went out there and killed the chicken. And later on that day, you know, we had that for dinner. But, you know, that's that order. So we don't have that anymore. That's old school, right?
My dad ate first. My dad ate first. My mom would feed my dad first. I didn't understand it back then. I used to get mad. I'm hungry. I'm feeding dad first. But I understand it now, and it was understood. I mean, you know, you should always honor your husband first, because the husband made the kids. His seed made the kids. So you should always honor your head. But these chicks here don't get this. Oh, I'm gonna feed my baby. My baby gotta eat. Not understanding that your husband gave you his seed to make that baby that you incubated. It makes no sense, man.
If the man ain't strong, if you don't give him the big piece of chicken, where are you gonna get the energy from to go get the money to provide? You understand? So you got to take the priority over, you know, with the man. And here's another thing. You know, on the other broadcast, I sent you a super chat, and what I said was that because you played the clip of Courtney interviewing Shahrazad Ali, and what I said in my chat was, I said, well, shout out to Shahrazad Ali, but the condition is as bad as it is because women like Courtney didn't listen to her 30 years ago.
Good point.
So if they're going to listen now, who knows? But those of us who are done, we're already gone. So we're not going to be around to see either way. So some of us, you know, we were there for the first 30 years when Shahrazad first came out. You know, I was a young man then, but I remember seeing her on Donna.
Right. We were teenagers.
And I remember all the pushback she got.
Right.
But you remember seeing her, right? How much pushback she got.
Seeing her. We were teenagers. I remember. And this has been almost 40 years ago, 30 to 40 years ago. It's gotten worse. So when I hear people talking about, what are you going to say? They've gotten worse than the women now, worse than the women 40 years ago. They're worse.
Yeah, they weren't trying to hear her back then, and they're not really trying to hear her now. So we supposed to wait another 30 years?
Well, listen, I've been married for 26 years, but if I was a single man in the game, I'm good, man. Listen, if I was a single man in the game, listen, hold on. If I was a single man in the game dealing with these ducks, man, I'll be doing this.
I'm tired of America, so I'm hitting Richie on the net. I got the tickets, that's a bet. We need the link, my brother set it up. Damn, I didn't had enough. Ooh, I won't lie. Can I get a little shake with them fries? My skin tone is matching your eyes. Black men, you know we like them thighs. And baby, she can do it all. Your land is my land. Cut through.
Save yourself. I'm saving myself, man.
I was married. I was married early. It didn't work out, and after that, I just focused on me. I traveled, did the whole thing, man. I ain't going back.
I don't blame you, man. You'll be a fool too.
I ain't got to go there far. I'm in Texas. I just go down south 2-3 hours. Viva la Mexico, Panama.
And you know what, Tim? I got to come to Dallas, man. I got some friends. And
come on, look me up. I love meeting.
What brought you in, Tim?
I'm actually from Dallas, but I live in the suburb. I'm like 5 minutes from the Cowboy Stadium in the mid cities, Grand Prairie, Arlington, that area.
You know, Jethro Pugh is my cousin, man. He used to play for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I went to that's why I went to high school with his daughter.
Yeah, Jethro Pugh is my relative, man. He's from.
Well, that makes sense. You 6'6". He was about 6'6".
Yeah, 6'6", 6'7", right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, lineman. Yeah, I went to his daughter's tall. Yeah, I went to high school with Jeff. I think her name is Jefferline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my bloodline, man. Yeah,
wow.
They had a big party. Yeah, they had a big celebration for him back in the 70s, man. He was killing the game, man. Went to Elizabeth City State, man. So man. Man. But anyway, guys, I'm about to get off, man. I'm tired, man. I did a lot, man. I cut grass today, guys. I got up acorns. I did a full stream where I edited it. It took me 4 hours to get that show together. And then I did another live. So guys, please, if y'all love what I'm doing, donate to the channel, support the channel. If you don't have money, just share the content. I do this stuff for passion, man. But trust and believe, I've been looking some football, looking at East Carolina playing UCF, even though we did beat them. But I do this for the love of the brotherhood, man. You know, I do it because I want to see men win. I believe the black men and all men should get the best outcomes. And that's how I roll, man. I want to see young men happy. I want to see our brothers happy. I don't want to see none of you men dying before your time, man. And on that note, I got to get off the stream because I'm tired. And I'm going to enjoy Sunday looking at Carolina play Tampa. I know, even though we can probably lose, but
Go Cowboys.
Hey, you see the helmet, man. We coming
I
back.
saw it. I'm in my office. I can't. I got a bunch of junk behind me, but I'm.
Hold on. Let me let you see this, man, because I'm true to the game, man. Hold on. You said I'm true to the game.
Oh hell.
I'm true to the game, man. Customized, man. Panther swag, man. I'm true to the game.
Got to bow to a power higher than me.
Well, anyway, guys, I'm about to end up, man. Love you, brothers, man. Y'all take care, man. I'm gonna jot y'all
Peace
down.
out.
All right, guys, this has been another good stream, man. Thank you, Brother Allen, and all the brothers. And so, guys, as always, hold tight. Let me move y'all guys off, man. All right, MC Recovery, y'all be good. But as always, guys, y'all know it's 7 steps that we all must go through in order to become optimized. And when the world understands the struggles of men and what they go through, then and only then can we come back and save a community that has more or less not given us the honor and respect that we deserve. So, guys, signing off. I love you, brothers, man. And y'all guys, y'all take care, man. Be well. Hold tight.
In the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say